Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here. I have heard it said that confession is good for the soul. Wouldn't it be good and wonderful if the ex president knew that confession was good for the soul? I'm here today, ladies and gentlemen, to confess. To confess. I have failed God. Yes, I admit it. I have failed God. God revealed the power of God to me. For me to know God, not requiring belief. And it was such a wonderful situation that this miracle was experienced. I promised to God to do what God had given me to do. And what God has given me to do was to wake the world up. And I promised to God that I would do all I could to cause that to happen. And in fact, I was glad to have been chosen because I actually believed, and I know at that time, but I believed that I could be successful in that. And though I knew what life meant to me, all of the wonderful gifts that have been made available to humankind that feeds my needs, that I would like to embrace, I would put it all aside. Regardless of how much it meant, the most important thing was to get God's message out. And I promise all of the wonderful things that I desire, need, want, I would not actually go after them or acquire them until you, the people, all of us, God's people, could do likewise. In other words, I was not willing to accept the pure happiness of life until you could. And you could not accept the pure happiness of life until you knew what it was. And it's something that you don't actually know. It happens. It happens. And so, to you, the people, you know I failed. I have failed. You, the people. All of us have failed, but especially the ones who profess to believe, regardless of your connection, regardless of your religiosity, regardless of all you call divine and your intuition and your power and all that you are about God. And that's all over the world. It's not just Christianity or Islam or Buddha or whoever exists. It's all of them. You fall short of even understanding what God is about. The message, the true message, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are all confused because we are listening to the teachings of others. No one can teach us about God but God. No one can teach us about God but God. All of the stuff you might have in books, they're only references, experiences of others, but you have been programmed to try to walk according to the dictates of others when God made you as an individual to be special. There's no replica. Those that you're studying about in the books that you're trying to imitate, emulate, they're gone. You are to be special, but you don't know that. We've been taught to be what we are. And that's why every now and then, out of all of us, none of us are really blessed to the degree that God can say, this is my best child, this is my best. No, my friends. We're all out here lost. But it is so essential that we are found, that we are alive, that every now and then God would choose someone to do this, to do that. And so I come to you and I say today, I want to apologize. I tried, but it wasn't good enough. I tried, but it wasn't good enough. For instance, my friend, in all that you know about God and all that you try to do for God, let me ask you this. If you had a child or a parent who needed help, would you want them to receive that help? Of course you would. And you think that's godly, huh? No, that's not godly. Because godliness, you don't need the help. You got the help. So what has happened is we failed. Those of you today who are sick, who needs to go to a physician, but can't for one reason or another. It exists and it tells you that we are not connected to the will and the Spirit of God. This is what I've been saying. To put it bluntly, everybody that's living on this earth is guaranteed and have had prepared for them housing. Now, many of the houses will still have to be built because we've been living in a system that's been denying God, but it was prepared that you would never be homeless. And you know what? It would not cost you one penny. Every last one of us, as I indicated a moment ago about sickness, we would get sick, but we would master sickness by having the wherewithal to cure and to certain degrees prevent. The facilities would be available, the staffing would be available, and you know what? It would not cost you a penny. This is God. Let me tell you again, because you've missed it. You're giving money to preachers, making them filthy rich so they don't have to suffer while you suffer. And you think that's God? My charge is to inform you that you do not know God. Knowing God means that your energy bills, whether it's electricity or whatever you want to fill in the blank with, you would have it as you need it, want it, or desire it, and it would not cost you a penny. Let's say the systems that we live in today, we use transportation. Some of us say we love all kinds of cars. The truth of the matter is that you would have available to you, and it has been prepared that you could access any car you want, and it would not cost you a truck. It would not cost you a penny. I know it sounds strange. It sounds very strange. I sound like a stupid fool standing up here telling you what you know you got to use to get any of these things I've just got through saying. And what is that? You've been convinced that it's money. It is that tool to keep you blind, and very few that can stand up before you and do as I am doing today, confessing that I have failed. Today, instead of trying, you the people, standing, rising, recognizing God's way of accomplishing everything, which is a simple matter, that each of you have been given a gift, and whether you know it or not, that gift fits in this mosaic of life, each one having its place, and when exercised, all come together to create anything that comes out of humankind's imagination, as it has from the beginning of time until this day, and it's just beginning. Let me tell you, the snow falls. Sometimes it's a problem. Sometimes it's beautiful. In Minnesota, we have this year a little difference. than last year during Christmas time. We have plenty of snow. And the trees, the pine trees, or wherever they might be, the snow is falling all on them, and they're just absolutely beautiful as they glitter in the sunshine or the moon shines and give its reflection of all of the different energies that's in between, that we might see the glory and wonderness of something we just don't know. But thanks, it's there. Oh my God. I am so sorry I failed. Education seems to be complicated for some because they're walking paths they have no desire. But education is a natural form. Natural. And it is accessible, unlimited, and unrestricted to every human being on the face of the earth. And the process of acquiring it does not cost you one penny. In fact, I hope you understand right now that if you can imagine this story, I'm not trying to say it's true, but imagine that there was a time that God walked out on earth and the voice spoke to an understanding that humans have, that everything that I just got through describing to you in its time and this time and times to come would be available to them, to give them an expression that they know God and that they represent God in maintaining something that's called heavenly. And then a voice comes and say, well, I know I can beat that. A voice comes and says, I can beat that. If you can have that according to what you just heard or what you understand, and it means so much to you, just think about how much more it could mean to you if you could double it. And so that's where you get your richness from. That's where you get your barns overflowing. Somebody trying to follow that voice. And the sad thing about it is the voice of what you just heard about all that you can have is being squashed because over here people start stealing. And you don't know how to resist. To resist means that you do not follow suit or give power to. And you maintain your own. And so what this I speak to you about today, I know it's something that you perhaps don't hear that much. I'll put it this way, I didn't, and still don't. Only where I hear it from is the Spirit of God. And I stand before you today to admit I have failed you. Because all over the world, you got people who are running from one territory trying to go to another one. That's following that voice of money. And you hope you can come to the United States because it has held itself up as having all of that prosperity, that what you call money. And if you just come to America, you'll be able to get your hands in it and get some of that money. And you will be what you call alive. That's a lie. That's all fake. As you can see, if you go to the border, you find people can't get across. Why? Because all of that money is not enough to be spreading out in the hands of everybody that's just come here. No, you're supposed to have it at home, but not money. The same spirit that I've just shared with you here is the same spirit that is essentially necessary to be able to create in your minds and understanding the ability to cause heaven on earth. Heaven is not a place you die and go to. How can you die and go to a heaven half-stepping? You have to be there already. And I've heard someone say that heaven is within. Now, what religion, what philosophy is being exemplified that reflects what I have just shared with you? And what I have just shared with you is a message. I'm not trying to teach you. This is a message to inform you that there is a God. And it is a God of love. And that means all of us. All of us are one. All of us are one. And if there's anyone that is amongst us that is not, it's diseased. It's a cancer. And it needs to be removed, not by you in your radical ways, but in your tenderness and your loving, kind ways that eradicates that cancer. And all of a sudden it's gone. You become the doctor. You become the surgeon. and you become the blessed. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I have tried the public arena. I've run for public office without money, and it came out like I had no money, never heard of. I've committed crimes to get attention, gone to jail and prison, didn't mean anything. I have been denied the health care that some people with money can get because I don't have the money, and I'm as sick as I can be right now. Got all kinds of problems. That is the evidence that I'm standing for God. The other is, my friend, when you see things that I express to you, not having dental care. You see, in order to have the perfect dental care for everybody, you got to listen to God's plan. Or if you're not doing it that way, you got to listen to man's plan. You got to have money. And by my commitment to God, that I would have to suffer like poor people who don't have teeth. If mine wear out, and they wear out. That's a sign that my choice, I'm doing what I was given to do, but I still have failed. Why? Because you have not heard. And why haven't you heard? Because you're listening to a different voice. You're listening to a voice of you fill in the blank. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.